our mayor, Buddy Dyer. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to the September 10th, 2012 regularly scheduled meeting of the Orlando City Council. We're going to begin today's proceedings with the invocation offered by Pastor Jim Burlau. I got the Lau like cow. They helped me there. Jim Burlau, who's the director of the South Street Ministry located at 2113 East South Street, near the corner of Bumby and South Street in District 4. This ministry has been in existence since June of 2011 and is the local outreach ministry of the First United Methodist Church of Winter Park. It's the vision of the ministry to create a multicultural ministry that celebrates the diversity within the Orlando community. In its first year, the South Street Ministry developed a daily mentoring program for children called MAP, Mentoring for Academic Progress, as well as a series of week-long life enrichment camps for children emphasizing science and the arts. After the invocation, the pledge will be led by District 5 Commissioner Daisy Lineman. For our commissioners, I will note that we need to look at the flag directly behind us rather than to the one that is missing on the right. So don't be confused. Okay, Pastor, if we could all stand.
I know that's right.
Let us pray. Loving Creator and Sustainer of all that is and all that ever will be, accept our gratitude for this day and all its many blessings. We are thankful for all that you have given to us, for the opportunities to make a change in our communities, and for the challenges that we face and prepare to overcome. We remember those who have gone before us, paving the way for the opportunities that we embrace today. We remember the lost, the hungry, and the sick, and those whose society has chosen to ignore, oppress, or exclude. We ask today that you guide and direct our assembled leaders. Grant that all who are gathered here today may be mindful of their responsibility to the people of this city, and that they may find strength in you as you provide clarity and confidence within all decisions that will be made. May all of us gathered here today continue to be challenged to give our best, to find grace where mistakes have been made, and to build with confidence a better tomorrow for your city beautiful, the city of Orlando. With joy in our hearts and eagerness to get to the matters at hand, we give you all the joy, thanks, and praise. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll and make a determination of a quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Here.
Commissioner Stewart?
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan?
Here.
Commissioner Lineham? Here. Commissioner Ings?
Here.
Mayor Dyer?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First order of business is consideration of minutes from the agenda review meeting and council meetings of August 20th, 2012.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lineham, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. Right into awards, presentations, and recognitions, and we have several today. Marcia, I believe that you are first up.
Good afternoon, Mayor Dyer and City Commissioners. It's great to be with you and everyone here in the City Council chambers and those at home. The American Heart Association is focusing on helping all citizens develop healthy lifestyles and a very high quality of life. And as they plan for their upcoming Greater Orlando Heart Walk on September 15th at Lock Haven Park, Terry Brune from the Heart Association's board has a very special presentation for you, Mayor. Terry?
Right.
Thank you, Marcia. Good afternoon. My name is Terry Brunn, and I'm a Senior Vice President at FIS, the world's largest provider of banking and technology across the world. And I've had the pleasure of serving as the co-chair for this year's 2012 Heart Walk, along with Marlon Hutchins of Walgreens. This year's Heart Walk will take place this Saturday, the 15th, at Lock Haven Park, with more than 18,000 people in attendance. The Heart Walk is designed to encourage healthy lifestyle changes while educating the community about their risk of heart disease and stroke. In fact, heart disease is the #1 killer of all Americans, and currently 1 out of 3 of every American is living with some form of cardiovascular disease. In order to promote and encourage small changes and create big outcomes, it has become a tradition for the American Heart Association to select an individual every year from a group of nominees to be the lifestyle change hero. The winner is someone who has made efforts to live a heart-healthy life, a person that sets the example and motivates others to do the same. And so it is fitting that I am here today, along with representatives from the American Heart Association, to present our first ever Honorary Lifestyle Change Hero Award to someone who has embraced this criteria, Mayor Buddy Dyer. On behalf of the American Heart Association and the Greater Orlando Heart Walk, we congratulate you on your personal lifestyle change success and thank you for being an example of what small changes can do to improve a person's heart health.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I did lose about 35 pounds a year and a half ago, and I've been able to keep it off. But the most rewarding part of it is I have so many people come up and say, if you could do it, anybody could do it. So that is, I guess, an example, because I have had a lot of other people who have said you have spurred me on to lose a little bit of weight. So thank you very much for that. Okay, Assistant Chief Rod Williams will be up for the next award recognition.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I'm here today to introduce retired Chief Master Sergeant Edward Apodaca for the United States Air Force. Chief Apodaca is a local chair and state vice chair for the Employer Support and Guard Reserve, commonly known as the ESGR. The ESGR program is a Department of Defense agency that was established in 1972 to promote cooperation and understanding between reserve military service members and their civilian employers. Without further ado, welcome to the podium, Chief Apodaca.
Mayor Dyer, distinguished council members, it's an honor to be here today. Today we're going to recognize Chief Miller, for his outstanding support of the Guard and Reserve. Give you really briefly of what ESGR is. The Vice Chief said a few words, but we are a Department of Defense agency that seeks to promote the culture which the American employers value the service of their military members, their employees. We do it through recognition programs, to increase awareness of the law, and we resolve our conflicts through mediation. Chief Miller has shown his support of the firemen under his command, and the Patriot Award we're going to give him today is just our way to say thanks. Sir, can you come up?
I was trying to remember her too. Yeah.
We're going to paint pin here, a Patriot pin that the SDR gives to all recipients.
Do it Marine Corps style. Shove it on there. Stick it in the skin. Yeah. You got it, man?
Okay, John Hogue, our Streets and Stormwater Assistant Division Manager, is going to come up and give a 25-year service award.
Lane. This is Elaine Shorter. She's been one of my employees for 25 years, and it's a very proud moment for all of us today. Elaine started as a temporary employee in the Parks Division in early 1987. A few months later, she moved to the Streets and Stormwater Division as a permanent employee assigned as a maintenance worker to one of my landscape maintenance crews. Elaine has always been an excellent employee who could always be counted on to take the extra step to ensure that her work was completed in a timely and excellent manner. Her hard work over the last 25 years has paid off by a promotion to a light equipment operator, which she excelled at, which led to a promotion as a street sweeper operator. While talking to Elaine about the last 25 years, she told me that she's proud of what she has accomplished, especially being the first African-American woman to hold the position as a street sweeper operator for the city of Orlando. That she appreciates all the training and opportunities and promotions she has received from the city, enjoys her job, and is thankful to God for giving her the wisdom and knowledge to make her a good city employee. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you, too.
We have a proclamation here. It's from the mayor of the city of Orlando, from Elaine Shorter, from the mayor of the city of Orlando, which is conveys his expression of grateful commendation and full acknowledgement for the 25 years of service you have so valiantly rendered as an outstanding employee of the city of Orlando. The city council and the citizens of Orlando sincerely appreciate the most faithful and efficient performance of your duties in the best interest of the city of Orlando, dated this 12th day of September, 2012. Congratulations and thank you. There you go.
I hate it when the house when you get me in the picture. I understand it. Gotta get some D40 for this chair.
Okay, Marcia, looks like you're back up on the Second Harvest Food Bank.
Good afternoon again, Commissioners and Mayor Dyer. Eradicating hunger in our city and our region, as you all know, is the mission of Second Harvest Food Bank. I would like to introduce Greg Higgerson, who is Vice President of Development for Second Harvest, who will take a minute to explain what our community is doing to commemorate Hunger Action Month before Mayor Dyer reads the proclamation. Greg?
Thank you, Marcia.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Board of Directors, volunteers, and staff of Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida, I'd like to thank the City of Orlando for many, many years of partnership in the fight against hunger here in Central Florida. And I'd like to make that thanks also on behalf of the tens of thousands of children, seniors, and so many others, families that are struggling this very day to put food on the table. You know, there's an old saying in food banking that it takes more than food to feed the hungry, and that's the truth. It takes a whole lot of people, it takes a community that cares, and it takes lots of resources working together. That's what Hunger Action Month is all about, and we celebrate it this month with the 205 food banks across the country that are part of the Feeding America network, and it's so important that we do that because engaging the community is such a key first step in getting people to take action, which is what we know causes all of those resources to flow, whether that's food, whether those are dollars, whether that's volunteer time, all of the things that make those millions of pounds flow that we're moving through Second Harvest Food Bank every year with the help of the community. So thank you for that, and thank you also for your deep involvement in our project to expand our effort here in Central Florida with the construction of a 100,000 square foot new facility at the corner of Old Winter Garden and Mercy Drive. That's going to be completed in January of this year, and we're very, very excited to keep moving this mission forward. Thank you so much.
City of Orlando proclamation. Whereas hunger and poverty are issues of grave concern in the United States and the City of Orlando, and whereas the City of Orlando is committed to taking steps to raise awareness about the need to combat hunger in every part of our state and to provide additional resources that citizens of Central Florida need, and whereas the City of Orlando is committed to working with the Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida and educating people about the role and importance of food banks, and whereas more than 731,000 individuals in Central Florida rely on food provided by the members of the Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida annually, and whereas food banks across the country will host numerous events throughout the month of September to bring awareness and attention to encourage involvement in efforts to end hunger in their local community, now therefore I, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, hereby do proclaim the month of September 2012 as Hunger Action Month in the City of Orlando.
I don't know why I was thinking the same thing.
Okay, Marcia, you should just stay up here probably.
Thank you, Mayor and City Commissioners. It is my pleasure to introduce Leslie Karp and her daughter Katie and many of the other families affected who are bringing awareness to the problem of childhood cancer in Central Florida. Leslie is here with her friends and family to take a few moments to give you just a little background on what they're doing before Mayor Dyer reads the proclamation. Leslie.
Mayor Dyer, City Commissioners, I cannot begin to tell you how much joy it brings all of us that are here today that you have decided for the first time ever to take action to recognize September is Golden Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. On behalf of the 40,000 children who are being treated for cancer every year, and on behalf of the 13,600 who will again yet this year get that diagnosis, and on behalf of the hundreds of children that are treated for cancer here in this city, I just want to say thank you so very much for declaring September is Golden. With me here today are some of the faces of childhood cancer. They're representing just a few of the hundreds and hundreds of people in this city who have been impacted by this disease that is, believe it or not, the #1 killer of children in our nation. And in spite of the fact that a whole classroom full of children, an entire classroom of about 46 kids a day, get diagnosed with cancer, and in spite of the fact that September is the month that has been dedicated to recognize those children, the world does not know. And we in Orlando, what a better place to do it than a place that embraces kids, that kids come to for hope and encouragement, have started a campaign to change that, hopefully, in our world. And that campaign is called September is Golden. You need to know that this campaign was actually inspired out of the heart of a child, because many times we as adults can sit around and think about how we want to change the world, and every now and then the voice of a child will come to us and will say something so profound that we cannot help but take action. For all of us, this was a poem that was written by a 14-year-old cancer survivor, which was the heart's cry of every child that has ever endured this battle, and ever will. I thought it was fitting to share that poem with you, and it's entitled Gold Ribbons. Children come and children go, some for reasons they don't even know. Although lost in turmoil unheard, warriors are made from their sorrow and their hurt. A kid themselves in a long, hard battle should be recognized for their common lives so rattled. September only shadows these kids, I know, for they deserve a hall of fame in which to glow. Among those who hold all the pink ribbons and pride, a new spot shall be made for kids with life. In honor of every battling kid in the world, there should be some place for them to be heard. One day their gold flag will fly and will show the world that kids can survive. Oh, these pink ribbons, they have a place in my heart too, but only among thousands of kids that I know and I knew. Because these kids with scars and bald heads, they also have no cure and no med. When will we realize, unfortunately and happily, that there are kids with cancer and they need to survive like me? Thank you for being at the beginning of helping to change our world, helping us all to know and to recognize that September is golden. It belongs to the children with cancer, and they are represented by the gold ribbon. Thank you.
City of Orlando proclamation. Whereas childhood cancer is the #1 disease killer and second leading cause of death, exceeded only by accidents of children, and whereas on any given school day approximately 46 young people or 2 classrooms of students are diagnosed with cancer, and whereas every year more than 13,000 children are diagnosed with cancer, and whereas 1 in every 330 persons in the United States will develop cancer before his or her 20th birthday, and whereas every year over 2,500 children under the age of 20 lose their lives to cancer, and whereas every year more than 40,000 children undergo treatment for cancer, and whereas children are our most precious resource and are truly golden in our hearts, now therefore I, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, hereby do proclaim the month of September 2012 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Orlando. Okay, Commissioner, you or Jody's going first. Do you want to do the intro and then call on Jody?
Yeah, we'd like to recognize Keller Williams today, and Jody has a special presentation. Jody Bias with Keep Orlando Beautiful.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Each year on the second Thursday of May, thousands of Keller Williams Realty Associates from across the United States participate in a wide range of projects. They devote their time to renewing and energizing aspects of the neighborhoods in which they serve. They refer to this as the Red Day event, which stands for Renew, Energize, and Donate. As you know, we are lucky enough to have Keller Williams right here in our own community, and for their Red Day event, they decided to donate their time by removing graffiti and unwanted stickers and ads from poles, boxes, and other structures along Mills, all the way from Highway 50 to Virginia, and also along 50 for several blocks in both directions. Commissioner Sheehan, Keep Orlando Beautiful, and Joanne Grant from the Mills 50 Main Street program assisted the group as they scraped, scrubbed, definitely sweat, and painted for nearly 3 hours, giving Mills 50 a fresh new look. But it didn't stop there. Keller Williams volunteers also energized the businesses by educating them along the way. They informed them of the city's graffiti and removal program and handed out informational brochures on how to prevent and report it. They even took it another step further by handing out removal kits to those businesses that had agreed to keep their areas graffiti-free. Our local Keller Williams accomplished exactly what they set out to do. They renewed, they energized, and they donated. So today we would like to recognize them for their efforts. So Commissioner Sheehan, if you'd like to join me, and Keller Williams, would you please come up to accept your award?
Okay, Commissioners, if there's no objection, I'm going to reorder the agenda a little bit and take out of order the first, these new agendas, a little hard to get used to. The first public hearing, Madam Clerk, I didn't tell you that, but could you just go ahead and read that for us?
In accordance with the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority Act of the City Charter, Greater Orlando Aviation Authority has submitted a proposed preliminary budget for fiscal year 2012 through 2013 to City Council for review and public hearing.
I would note that the chairman of the board, Frank Kruppenbacher, along with the executive director, or Phil Brown, are here. Frank, you want to come up and address the board? Or actually, between the three of you, Jackie Churchill is here as well, and Jackie was standing up. I don't know which of the three of you. Okay.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. On behalf of our board, I can only tell you, I've been around government 35 years. We couldn't ask for a better partner than the City of Orlando, and having Mayor Dyer on our board is just our pleasure. And we're going to work on the computers, and hopefully we can get through some FAA regs, but anything we can ever do, Mayor Dyer knows we're there for you. Thank you much.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, then we will open this hearing for public testimony. Is there anyone that would like to comment on the preliminary budget of the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority for fiscal year 2012-2013? Any cards, Madam Clerk?
No.
then we will close the public hearing. Thank you, gentlemen. We will divert back to the original order. You guys are done.
Bye, brother.
Okay, so that brings us to the mayor's update. 11 years ago tomorrow, our nation was shocked and saddened by the terrorist attacks. Was shocked and saddened by the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. Nearly 3,000 civilians, military personnel, firefighters, and law enforcement officers died that day, and I'd like to take a moment of silence today during this meeting to commemorate those who lost their lives on September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. We will never forget September 11th as one of America's darkest days, but out of darkness of that horrible day has risen a nation with a resolve to make this world a safer place. Also this week, we honor and recognize our prisoners of war and those who are still missing in action. This Friday, September 14th at 10 a.m., please join our Veterans Advisory Council for the annual POW-MIA recognition ceremony conducted this year by the Winter Springs High School cadets in the rotunda of City Hall. I know most of the city commissioners have attended this ceremony, and I encourage each of you to do so. I am going to be out of town on Friday, and I want to thank Commissioner Ings for subbing in and reading the proc this coming Friday. On Wednesday, October 3rd, from 7:15 to 9 o'clock at the Amway Center, we will have the annual State of the Downtown address. Usually we've done that at a luncheon. We're switching it up just like we used to like to switch up State of the Downtown in a different way about every year. So it's going to be a breakfast event, and this year's topic is going to focus on sustainability and will be highlighted by our featured speaker, Nancy Sutley, who is the chair of the White House Council on Environmental Quality. Go to cityoforlando.net for more information. On Saturday, September 29th, Harbor House of Central Florida will host another It Takes Courage door-hanging event to stop abuse in partnership with OPD. Teams of volunteers will canvass the city, raising awareness on the signs of domestic abuse. Harbor House has a goal of having 300 volunteers out on that Saturday. Thanks to the city's It Takes Courage initiative, domestic violence incidents are down 21% in the first 6 months of this year compared to the first 6 months of 2011. City of Orlando will host the annual Hispanic Heritage Month kickoff this Thursday, September 13th at 5 o'clock in City Hall to celebrate the influence of Hispanic culture in Orlando. And this big award that was up on the podium. As residents of Orlando, we have the opportunity to enjoy several unique neighborhood commercial districts that have become renowned for their colorful selection of boutiques and diners and bakeries, and they are attributes of the hallmark of the Orlando Main Street program. These districts play an important role in the overall health of our city, and just last month, the Florida League of Cities recognized the City of Orlando with a Muni Award for our Main Street program. The award recognizes the partnership between local government, residents, businesses, property owners to transform Orlando's unique commercial neighborhoods into vibrant business districts. I am also excited to announce that one of Orlando's most spirited neighborhoods is joining the Orlando Main Street program. So Thornton Park already has an incredible amount of synergy between its businesses, property owners, and even residents in the community. In addition to the Thornton Park District, Commissioner Sheehan was instrumental in making a generous financial contribution to help them get started. Thank you, Commissioner Sheehan, for that. And then I see a number of Main Street folks out in the audience. Would you guys all stand and be recognized? And welcome Thornton Park to the Main Street program. During a couple items off of the agenda, This morning we had a workshop on the city's given by the city's Transportation Planning Division Manager F.J. Flynn, and we will be hearing at first reading an ordinance for a new multimodal transportation impact fee, and we'll recognize our transit-oriented development and how to encourage that. With that, we will move on to the consent agenda, and the consent agenda is a number of items that are acted upon through a single vote of council. We give each of the commissioners an opportunity to update you on items of importance in their district, as well as comment on particular consent agenda items, and we rotate the order of who goes first so that everybody gets that opportunity. And today, that honor goes to District 5 Commissioner Daisy Lynham.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Just a couple of announcements before and regarding the September's Golden Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I want to say a real special thanks to Mayor for the proclamation. But, you know, here in Orlando, we really need to be thankful. We have wonderful memoirs, and we have the Palmer Children's Hospital at Orlando Health and other places where children can now pretty much stay in their own communities. Of course, each time there was a childhood disease or especially cancer, we thought of St. Jude, and we still do. But those of you who wish to donate to St. Jude or someone else, please help, because these diseases in childhood are do not discriminate, and sometimes families cannot afford it. So the one thing I'm thankful for is the Affordable Health Care Act. So I hope those of you who understand these kinds of situations really go do your research before you say no and vote against your own best interest. Now, just one other announcement. Our Blueprint office in District 5 will be hosting a women's event on Wednesday, Succeeding Against All Odds, as we did last year, recognizing women who are in their own businesses, have done unusual things. And one of those women would be Rebecca Ford, my predecessor's wife, who has become the national president of Gamma Phi Delta Sorority Incorporated, organization that focuses on business women and other professionals, with a host of other women. I think that's all for the announcements. I would like to register a no vote on B11. And Mayor, I'm going to tell you why. There's a $40,000 difference between an Orlando or Florida company and the one that got the contract in North Carolina. I believe when you work with a company out of state, they're going to spend that $40,000 plus, or it's included in their fees. And I really think we ought to look at these out-of-state companies more when it's such a short differential in the bid. I know I've said this before, but I really think we need to come up with another criteria. If all things are equal, I think we need to go with the best quality product and best performing company. But when there's $40,000 difference, and this is over $1 million contract, that's $1 million we could have kept right here in Florida. So that's a no vote on that. I had some questions about I think it was D2, but I've learned the increase in fees for the facilities that did not have rates included a number of other services and not just staff. I just thought some of the fees were a bit exorbitant, but $1,000, I guess, for a venue for a wedding is not bad for all-day use. So I will let that go. But I think we as a city and our municipality have to be careful about our charges. We should not be in competition with anyone, because people through their taxes have already helped us construct these facilities, and then to charge them an arm and a leg for it is kind of taxing, no pun intended. But just want to make those two announcements. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move on to District 6, Commissioner Ings.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to say thank you to Paulette Edwards and the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority group that hosted Getting Your House in Order estate planning workshop on August the 29th from 10 to 1 p.m. at the Dr. James R. Smith Center. This was facilitated by and in partnership with Young and Deloach, attorneys at law, and also Ralph Armstead. The AKAs also provided lunch for the seniors. It was very well attended and got great reviews from this particular event, and the seniors are looking forward to coming back again. And then on this past Saturday, we had the 4th annual Happy Healthy Kids Day, Kids Health Summit at the Dr. James R. Smith Center there on Bruton Boulevard. We honored Morris E. Brown, a young man who fought a brave battle against adrenoleukodystrophy, a rare genetic disease. He passed away. His mother, June Brown, came to me 4 years ago and wanted to do something to honor his legacy as a child. And this was a great event. June is the founder of Happy Healthy Kids Day. And I'd like to thank our vendors, We Care Dental Center, Dr. Willie B. Sherman, Moncho Book Foundation, the Orlando Fire Department, you were there, and Florida Hospital for Children, CNC Pharmacy, and especially the Dr. James R. Smith Center's staff, Marlon Potee, the SWAT, the Students Working Against Tobacco, Early Learning Coalition, Orange County Health Department, and Valencia College Nursing Program. We also had a new business in our area, Honey Dripper, Frozen Treats, Rashawn Champion, Borden Dairy provided milk and yogurt, and Quiznos Sub Shop of College Park provided lunch at a discounted rate for us, and thank you so very much. And then also September 3rd, on Labor Day, Senator Gary Siplin held his annual Labor Day picnic at Hankins Park. Mike Preveco, the park manager, and Marlon Potee, the Smith Center manager, did an outstanding job along with their staff. This was a great event, very well attended at Hankins Park, plenty of food, and the children had a wonderful time. And also on that same day, the Caribbean Sunshine Bakery celebrated its 20th anniversary celebration and its first annual Caribbean Labor Day extravaganza. This was held at the Festival Field there at the Citrus Bowl. Peter Daly, who's the owner of Caribbean Sunshine Bakery, is to be commended for a great job. This was a great event, and it went along well without any problems. And then also Sharon Riley with the Holden Heights Front Porch, which is located at 1416 L.B. McLeod Road, right there at L.B. McLeod Road and Rio Grande Avenue. They have a utility bill assistance program during the cooling season and also during the heating season. And this is a one-time assistance per season if you're having problems with your utility bills and there's someone within your household that's 60 years of age or older. So please contact Sharon Riley, and her business phone number is 407-849-0135. Then we're coming up on National Public Lands Day for 2012, which will be held Saturday, September 29th, 2012, at the Bill Frederick Park at Turkey Lake. This is free admission, and the park is located at 3401 South Hiawassee Road, Orlando, Florida. John Perone urges everybody to come out and get involved in this event. It's from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. They're going to have a nature park, also an animal farm, Nature Connect trail, hiking, biking, fishing, playground, swimming pool, beach tennis, sand volleyball, and disc golf. So please come out and enjoy. Jan Rahill is on hand to assist you, and you can contact her at 407-246-3504 or Jody Bias at thecityoforlando.net. And her number is 407-246-2752. And then for the agenda, Mayor, I'd like to comment on item C2 and congratulate Bakari Burns for his appointment to the Municipal Planning Board. He is a constituent of District 6, And then also a very special thank you to Barbara Alderman, another District 6 constituent who served on the Municipal Planning Board. We thank you for your invaluable years of service as a member and representative of the Municipal Planning Board. And then also under C2, would like to thank Chief Rooney and the Orlando Police Department for your initiative in renaming the westerly portion of Andes Avenue to George DeSalvia Way. George is an officer who gave the ultimate sacrifice to the protection of the city of Orlando. This street will lead us to or take us to the Operations Center, where city employees work hard every day protecting the lives and property of the citizens and visitors of the city of Orlando. And this is a great honor. And then also item C9, the petition for voluntary annexation of 6980 Luck Lane. I support this voluntary annexation. The Luck Lane project would be great for the city of Orlando and District 6, and the developer and has worked wonderfully for a planned community, and this is going to be a great thing for the city of Orlando. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move on to District 1. Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. I try to list all of the events going on in District 1 on our website, but a couple of them are worthy of mention, special mention. Saturday, August 25th, our neighbors down at the village of Bryn Mawr South had a pre-Labor Day barbecue. Now, this was 2 weeks after National Night Out. And I'm trying to figure out whether they are really active in their community or the folks are looking for a good excuse for a party down there. But at any rate, they had 150 neighbors turn out for a barbecue. And the food that was left, several of them got together and distributed to other neighbors who were not able to attend. But I want to give them a special kudos for that effort. Last Thursday, attended an open house at Sanford Burnham Institute. Commissioner Ortiz was with me, and they have a speaker series that, if you didn't do really well in chemistry class, not sure the speaker series is for you. They bring visiting professors in to talk about the different types of research. But in the reception afterwards, where I really shine, they introduced a few of the staff of the Sanford Burnham. And the newest addition to the research team out there is a doctor who is relocating from Washington University in St. Louis, which I didn't realize was one of the top 10 medical research universities in the country. And prior to that, he had been the head of Merck Laboratories, head research for Merck Laboratories. The point of all of that is, as we all know, it just kind of drove home the point for me, that we have a lot of talented, smart people relocating to Central Florida. We all know that, but this gentleman could certainly teach and do his research at any place in the country, and he's chosen to come to Central Florida. So I think we should be proud of that, and we'll see more of that to come, I'm sure. Upcoming events I wanted to mention quickly. This Saturday is the Florida Coastal Cleanup. I will be with some neighbors in Conway working on Lake Rabama. There's several locations. I would just encourage anybody that has nothing to do Saturday morning from 9 to 12 to get involved. There's many spots that you can do that. Also, Thursday, September 20th, the Valencia campus, the Lake Nona campus of Valencia College is having a grand opening with tours. Again, just more evidence of the amount of activity and momentum that's going on in Lake Nona in the medical city. So everyone's welcome. I will be there, and I would encourage you to attend. And then finally, Thursday, September 25th, I'm co-hosting a town hall meeting at the YMCA in Lake Nona with Orange County Commissioner Jennifer Thompson. Obviously, with a lot of things going on in that part of the world, neighbors want to know what's going on, so we decided to kind of co-host a town meeting. A lot of our staff will be there, planning, transportation, etc. So everyone is welcome, and that is at 6:30. So please attend. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 2. Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, thank you for mentioning about the Burnham Institute. I also had a great time over there. It was a great experience. What was particularly interesting is that I just came back from Colombia, and I have met with some scientists down there, and they were wanting me to contact the Burnham Institute to go ahead and put them together and start collaborating. So that made my mission a lot easier. So they should be contacting each other and exchanging scientific stuff, which I know nothing about. But anyhow, on August 28th, the City Housing Department had a community meeting in reference to the Neighborhood Stabilization Program and vicinity hiring outreach programs, and invited contractors, subcontractors, and some of our trade workers who have experience working in construction from District 2. The meeting was to explain the opportunities that are coming up with the houses that are going to be revitalized with these funds. We had a very successful meeting, and I'd like to give special thanks to Albert Ramos, Paulette Edwards, and Deborah Gerard for a great job done. If you live in District 2 and are interested in working revitalizing houses, please go to the City of Orlando website. Look for the Housing and Community Development Department. You will find there the vicinity hiring information. The information is in English and Spanish. On August 30, we had a community meeting, get-together with the seniors from Johnson's Manor apartment. It's always a pleasure, a delight to spend time with them. These guys are, not only they shoot from the hip, but they're fun to be with. We brought them some pizza and we played some table games. So we had a great time. Just want to say hi. I know some of them like to watch this particular segment on their TVs and whatnot. So thank you for your hospitality. On September 1st, I was invited to the first football game of the season for the Warriors from the Orlando Baptist Church School. Great game. Thanks to Pastor Dave and everyone else for their hospitality. District 2, moving ahead. This past Saturday, I joined the After School All-Stars program for their sports annual day and had the honor to first serve during their volleyball tournament at the Englewood Neighborhood Center. Let it be known that it was a good serve. Close to 300 children and their parents attended the event. Kudos to Ray and Greg from their after school the After School All Stars program for organizing a great event. And speaking of the After School All Stars, I want to congratulate Mr. and Mrs. Tyler Chandler in the welcoming of their firstborn, Miss Riley Chandler. So I want to also give special thanks to OFD District Chief Zayas, Fire Lieutenant Mark Pila, First Engineer Luis Ura, Ron Glass, Mitch Hamilton, Virgil Kent, Joseph Calderon, Stacy Ivy, and Firefighter Julio Torres for preparing the food at the event. It was a great event, as always. On Saturday, I also attended a fundraiser, charity baseball game at the Azalea Park with former Mayor League baseball players. Among the players were Sixto Lescano. Now, some of these names are Spanish names, so you got to understand. So if you are a baseball follower, you may be able to relate to this. If you're not, this may be totally strange to you. So Sixto Lescano, who played with Milwaukee Brewers, Daniel Segui of the New York Mets, Herman Rivera from the LA Dodgers, Dave Rosselló from the Chicago Cubs, Otto Velez from the New York Yankees, and Felix Soto Jr. from the Mets. It was another great event at the Azalea Park. The game was between the Orlando All-Stars and the team from Ponce, Puerto Rico. You want to know who won? It wasn't us. So anyhow, it was Puerto Rico. My congratulations to Earl Lugo, Susan Cox, and the board members for a great event. I also want to take advantage and copy or second the words of the mayor. Congratulations to the Economic Development Main Street program, especially kudos to Pauline Eaton and the staff. You guys have done a great job bringing this program to be a star program all around the state. So thank you so much. You guys deserve a round of applause, so let's give you another one. On the agenda, item C2, congratulations to our law enforcement, OPD. We're renaming the westerly portion of Andes Avenue to George DeSalvia Way. So this is something that's been going on. It's been on the works for a long time, and we're finally getting it. And I think it's great to honor one of ours, especially after serving in the way this gentleman served, protecting our community. And item C15, very proud of the UCF Business Incubator. It has been a tremendous asset to the city of Orlando. It has been a source of pride to us all around the nation. It is the #1 incubator around the nation, and we are signing a funding agreement. So congratulations to UCF, to the incubator, the personnel at the incubator. And for that matter, I want to thank all the commissioners and mayor for supporting this great program, because it's been of a tremendous help to not only the community but to businesses all around the Central Florida area. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 3. Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor, and our congratulations to the Chandlers on the safe arrival of Riley. Some photos are floating around. There's a gorgeous little girl, so that's just great. Let me say a special thanks to Marcia Goodwin about the help we had the other night. We had a chance to be at the opening of the 24th season of the Shakespeare Theater. It was a good evening last night, and the city got some good kudos out of it. I appreciate the opportunity to represent you, Mayor, and we had a good time listening to one of their new shows, the Complete Unabridged Works of Shakespeare. It is going to be hilarious. It's a great show. They gave us a little preview of it last night. It was just a wonderful evening. A couple of events I wanted to share with you, and there's a whole lot going on, just as every spring and the fall, it seems that there's just so much stuff going on. So let me just kind of run down the list a little bit with you, and they'll be actually also on my website as well. Ivanhoe Village, Virginia Drive Live is this Friday from 6 to 10. It's over at Virginia, between Alden and Haven. So before you go there, stop by the Audubon Park Garden District Farm to Table event, right? That's right. That's 6 to 8, and then from the other was from 6 to 10, so you can do both the same evening. So you get a chance to do both of those. It'll be a great event. The Farm to Table event is a progressive happy hour that will be going up and down the Corrine Drive. It's $25 for that, and then after you spent that money, you can go over and go through the Virginia Drive Live for free, I think. Is that right, Scotty? Good. Thank you very much. Coming up is the Zombie Toberfest on September 29th from 6 p.m. in the Audubon Park Garden District. I'd like mentioning these because all y'all are here today, and you'll yell at me if I don't do it. The College Park Partnership is having the Jazz Fest coming up, and a round of applause for one by one, Andrea. But I know that you're looking for table sponsors right away to get those taken care of, and they're $200 per table, and it'll be a great opportunity to be there. And I think the other thing I want to mention briefly is the College Park Oral History Swap. A neat idea to just try to create some community building in the College Park area. It's going to be infusion tea at 7 p.m. On Monday, September 24th. Y'all come down and get a chance to learn about history about College Park. A couple of other quick things I want to mention. We have a new great restaurant in the Rosemont area. We're excited about it. It's a new restaurant called Vic Steakhouse. I had a chance to be there with Senator Gary Siplin and do the ribbon cutting last week. Wonderful food. If you get a chance to get up there, it's in on the western side in the old Perkins, I guess, is the area up there. So it's a great place. Have a couple of new restaurants up there in the Rosemont area. Really excited about that. And then, of course, as everyone else has mentioned, on the renewal of the Main Streets and the work, the new Main Street with Thornton Park. Thank you, Commissioner Sheehan, for your commitment to that area, and thank you for the work that y'all do to make our city great, literally every day. I appreciate that and the work that you do. So that's all that I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 4, Commissioner Sheehan.
Thanks, Mayor, and I'll be brief. I just have a few things on the agenda. Item C2 on MPB. Thank staff for getting the relaxed grill conditional use through. That's been a very successful business there at Lake Eola Park, and we had a lot of turnover for a long time, but Relax has been a long-term tenant, and they've done wonderful things there at Lake Eola Park. On the Main Street, Thornton Park, again, it's already been talked about a lot, but I just want to say if you can remind the neighborhood about the investment that I made, I'd appreciate it. Because sometimes they forget how much we actually have invested in Thornton Park on the City Council, so we want to make sure that they get reminded of that. Item C14, Colonial Photo and Hobby Facade Grant. Mike's here. Mike Roush, long-term business since 1954. It seems like we've been on this agenda since 1954, but we really appreciate supporting your business and putting a little shine on that wonderful business. I will be abstaining from voting on item D4. Item D4 from Family Parks Recreation. This is a great thing. The Wagon Train is a new dog food that's going to be released, and they're actually giving us a grant. Greenwood Dog Park. It's going to have an on-leash dog agility, a wash station, drinking fountain, and a seating area. It's a $50,000 value that Purina is going to be donating to the City of Orlando. So we are getting a dog park after all. Finally, after all these years, we're going to have a dedicated dog park. So we're thrilled. And if you get a chance to buy some Wagon Train and support Purina for that great donation, we'd appreciate that.
Could you spell wagon?
Wagon, W-A-G-G-I-N. Wagon, as in wagging your tail. That's right. And we're going to be doing some work out there, and I think they're going to have me paint some paw prints on some benches or something like that, so it'll be a lot of fun. And I will be declaring a conflict on item D6 and will not be voting on that. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we deleted item B14 from the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve everything else?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Ings.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lynham. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. All right, without objection, we will recess the City Council meeting and we will convene the CRA meeting. Number one is approving meeting minutes from the CRA meeting of August 20th, 2012. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. All right, number two, Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon to you, sir, and other members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. Item number 2 is adoption of and approval of the fiscal year 2012-2013 CRA budget and budget resolution. The staff is requesting approval of the FY 2012-2013 CRA budget and resolution. As always, the tax increment revenue and contingency numbers will be revised upon receipt of the DR 422 certification of final taxable value from the Orange County Property Appraiser. The CRA Advisory Board recommends approval.
So motion to adopt.
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lynham, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3, Thomas.
Thank you, sir. Number 3 is fiscal year 2012-2013 DDB and CRA cost share agreement. The cost share agreement between the CRA and the DDB outlines the terms under which the two entities share administrative costs for the fiscal year. Staff is requesting approval of the cost share agreement for fiscal year 2012-2013 between the DDB and the CRA, and authorization for the chairman and the executive director to execute the agreement subject to review and approval by the City Attorney's Office. The CRA Advisory Board recommends approval.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 4, Thomas.
Thank you. Item number 4 is the fiscal year 2012-2013 City Services Agreement between the City of Orlando and the CRA. The City Services Agreement outlines the terms under which the city provides administrative and professional support to the CRA as we implement our redevelopment plan. Staff is requesting approval of the City Services Agreement for the FY 2012-2013 between the City of Orlando and the CRA in the amount of $601,704, and the authorization for the chairman and the executive director to execute the agreement subject to review and approval by the City Attorney's Office. And once again, the CRA Advisory Board recommends approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lynham, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 5, Thomas.
Thank you, sir. And finally, fiscal year 2012-2013 Seniors First Incorporated Agreement. The annual agreement between Seniors First and the CRA to provide a senior transportation, which we call Senior Trans, to residents of 11 downtown senior housing complexes expires at the end of this month. Funding levels for this 2012-2013 agreement are the same as the funding levels for the fiscal year 2011-2012. Staff is requesting approval of the agreement between Seniors First Incorporated and the CRA for the period of October 1, 2012 to September 30th, 2013 for up to a total amount of $46,242 and authorization for the chairman and the executive director to sign the agreement subject to the review and approval of the city attorney's office and authorization of expenditures from the Downtown Orlando Community Redevelopment Area Trust Fund for such project pursuant to the terms of the agreement. And again, the CRA Advisory Board recommends approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 6 relates to the same amendment that we deferred in item B14. So likewise, we will defer item 6 to the next meeting. Further business come before the CRA, Thomas?
There's none, Mr. Chairman.
Then we will recess. Actually, we'll adjourn the CRA meeting, and we will convene the Neighborhood Improvement District meeting for the purpose of, number 1, accepting meeting minutes of the Downtown South Neighborhood Improvement District Advisory Council meeting of August 15th, 2012. Is there a motion to accept those meeting minutes?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Ings. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so the motion carries. All right, Kevin, you want to take up 2 and 3?
Yes, sir. The second item is the fiscal year 2012-13 budget for the Downtown South Neighborhood Improvement District. Like last year, the budget's fairly simple. The only revenue is the contribution from Orlando Health. The expense categories are consulting, legal, and lobbying, a $25,000 contribution to the city for city services, and then contingency. The Advisory Council recommended approval of this budget, and we're recommending that you approve it as well.
All right, is there a motion to adopt the budget?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Ings. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor. This third item is an interlocal services agreement between the city and the Downtown South Neighborhood Improvement District. The agreement essentially allows the Neighborhood Improvement District to utilize city services for planning, legal, finance, purchasing, and other city services. In exchange, the NID will pay the city $25,000. This amount is fairly modest, but we're in the process of trying to support the NID in getting their referendum approved. Most of the work done by for the NID will be done by consultants. We're recommending that you approve this interlocal services agreement.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Kevin, any further business?
That's all. Thank you.
All right, then we will adjourn the NID meeting, and we will reconvene the City Council meeting. We're on hearings. We've already conducted the public hearing related to GOA, so that brings us to the second hearing. And this relates to an inventory list of real property owned by the city that is appropriate for use as affordable housing, and a corresponding resolution is mandated by Florida statutes. Section 166.045 Florida statutes provides that every 3 years each local government must prepare an inventory of real property to which the local government holds fee simple title and that it is appropriate for use as affordable housing. The inventory must be approved by City Council, and a resolution that includes the inventory list must also be approved. The inventory was presented and approved by the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee at their meeting on July 17th, 2012. Is there a motion to recommend approval of the inventory list and adopt?
Recommend approval since most of them are in Paramore.
Okay, and adopt the corresponding resolution.
Second.
Who had the second? Commissioner Lynham had the.
Ings.
Commissioner Ings with a second. Okay, so we will open this hearing up for any public testimony. Is there anyone that would like to testify relating to the inventory list? If not, we will close the hearing. Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, that brings us to hearings, ordinances on second reading, Madam Clerk. So Number 1.
An ordinance of the City of Orlando granting Celebration Sanitation Services LLC a non-exclusive franchise to provide roll-off container collection and disposal of solid waste within the City of Orlando, outlining franchisees' duties and providing the terms and conditions under which such franchise shall operate, providing for severability and an effective date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ings. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's growth management plan by changing the future land use map designation on property generally located north of West Oak Ridge Road, south of I-4, east of the Florida Turnpike, and west of Millennia Boulevard, and comprised of 9.94 acres, more or less, from office medium intensity to mixed-use corridor high intensity, directing amendment of the city's official future land use map series, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the City of Orlando, Florida, certain real property generally located north of the beach line, State Road 528, south of Lee Vista Boulevard, and east of Narcoossee Road, comprised of 9.4 acres, more or less, and amending the city's adopted growth management plan to designate the property as industrial on the city's official future land use map, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, ordinances, first reading, Madam Clerk. Number 1.
An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending Chapter 56, Orlando City Code, Transportation Impact Fee by amending various sections from Section 56.01 through Section 56.23 by providing for clarification of terms as well as establishing new transportation impact fee rates that incorporate multimodal factors, establishing new methodology for alternative impact fee calculations, exempting transit-oriented developments, extending the change of use exemption and installment payment of impact fees, revising Exhibit A, Transportation Impact Fee Rate Schedule, and Exhibit B, Transportation Benefit Areas, and adding a new Exhibit C to show areas of transit-oriented development, providing severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances and actions, codification, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lineham, second by Commissioner Sheehan. We had a very thorough presentation on this proposed ordinance at workshop this morning by FJ. Does anybody need any further information or clarification? Or if not, I'll go on to public testimony. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. All right, I'm going to take 2 and 4 next because Deputy Chief Pigman is doing PowerPoint presentations on each of those. So why don't we
Start with number 4, Mayor?
Why don't we start with, are you okay if we start with 4, or do you have your presentations in a certain order?
It has number 2, I believe it is.
You want to start with 2?
It's the vehicle for hire. I'm sorry, it's vehicle for hire is up.
Wait, that's 4.
That's 4.
That's 4. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, it is there.
All right, so why don't you read number 4, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending Chapter 55 of the Code of the City of Orlando, entitled Regulation of Taxi Cabs, Limousines, Luxury Passenger Vehicles, Shuttles, and Other Vehicles for Hire, amending Part 5, Section 55.30, Sub 3, Term of Permit, amending the term of a driver's permit, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, codification, and an effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All right, Chief, you're up.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Dyer, City Council. I bring greetings on behalf of Chief Rooney, and I do have 2 presentations today, beginning with Chapter 55, Vehicles for Hire. And this amendment, this proposed amendment, is really all about safety for the citizens. That's the bottom line. Currently, the vehicle for hire driver's permit is due for renewal every 3 years. Our proposed amendment will require that driver's permit fee to be renewed annually. Currently, the vehicle for hire driver permit fee is $25, and in our proposal, we keep that cost the same on an annual basis. What it does is it ensures greater safety for the riding public. Any crime committed after an applicant obtains a driver's permit will be detected much sooner, 1 year versus possibly 3 years. If an applicant driver's license becomes invalid, expired, revoked, suspended, it could be detected much sooner. It will reduce the number of violations issued for appearance before the vehicle for hire administrator. And what we found is some applicants obtain a driver's permit for the sole purpose to avoid being cited after they have quit working for a certain company and strike out on their own. And the majority of jurisdictions that regulate driver's permits use 1 year as their benchmark. And that is it.
Questions of the chief?
Questions?
I have one.
I'm sorry.
Light your lights. All right, I got Commissioner Ortiz, then Commissioner Lineham, then Commissioner Ings.
Thank you, and I am sorry about that. This $25 fee that they're going to be paying, will that include a criminal history check done by us so they don't have to pay for that extra?
Yes, sir, it will.
Okay. Because right now, some of these companies, is my understanding, they have to pay for, in addition to the $25 they pay every 3 years, they have to do their own criminal history. So if we're doing that for them, the change is not going to be that much.
I'm sorry, I've just been informed that it does not include that.
So they have to do the 20, because it costs them about $25, also $25 to $27 every time they pull a history, so they're going to be paying close to $50 yearly.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. That's correct.
Why can't we do that? Any state statute that prohibits us from doing the criminal history for them?
That's part of it.
I don't know of any statute that prohibits it, but if you do that, then you become the guarantor of the accuracy rather than the applicant. And I would caution against that because it might create an independent base of liability.
Could you explain then the particulars about why from 25 and 3 years to 25 yearly?
It's simply an administrative cost that we incur. The actual cost is about $26 for the work that we do.
Okay. And that would guarantee to the public that these people would have driver's license instead of not having. I'm personally aware, because when I was in the police department, I don't know how many times I came in contact with some of these guys that didn't have driver's license, and they were driving these vehicles around.
I can tell you that in a recent audit, Supervisor Adler did pull randomly 20 driver's license permits for vehicles for hire,
Yeah.
and he found 8 out of the 20 were somehow out of order. That's 40%.
Okay. I'm just thinking about this idea of the. I know that some of it has come to my attention. You know that there's 25 on one side and then 25 on the other, and it's no longer 25 every 3 years. It's 25 every year.
Yes, sir.
So it'll go up to 50. So it's considerably. I mean, this is what a difference of almost $200 and something to them. Okay.
Let's see, Commissioner Lineham and then Commissioner Ings.
Yes, Chief, did you read the article the other day about the taxi driver who snatched the lady's purse?
I didn't read the article, but I did hear about it, yes.
Well, this is why I don't think that $25 is exorbitant, and I believe Chief Arun and I talked about it one day, and traveling a lot for the city to the legal cities and other things we do, we're often having to take a taxi in another city, and I never get in a taxi without first writing the number down, and because there's a lot of fraud, there's a lot of other things. I want And I did hear something while I was in either Charlotte or Detroit or somewhere about Orlando. Something happened. And I was saying, I know that didn't happen in Orlando because we do da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And we didn't, not every year. We were not current. So I think $50 a year is not exorbitant for an enterprise whose job it is to keep somebody safe. So I understand the commissioner's concerns, but I know since I've been here, we've had huge hearings and concerns about just the permits. This is not about the issuance of permits. This is about the safety and an opportunity to see who these people are. Because whoever snatched that purse, I really think we ought to be checking on, and I think it was local if it's in the city, who it is, that people who are stealing from clients, and those who walk away, leave very valuable cameras in the cars instead of turning around, giving it to that, taking it back, or saying, yes, you left it when they know they've left it. I have grave concerns about the quality of drivers and their criminal activity or background or the possibility. So those who are clean and fresh, they will welcome this because they too want to get rid of the riffraff that may be out there or the criminalization of some of these enterprises through, and I'm not saying everybody is, but when those bad, what do we call them, bad apples come along, we need to be able to wash them along, give them a warning or do whatever it is. I don't know what your protocols are, but I welcome knowing something that is updated on these people every year.
There's no doubt that vehicles for hire carry precious cargo.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner Ings.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, this kind of concerns me a little bit because it seems more of a profitability perspective than it does checking, because it seems to me if you have issued permits that you have an opportunity throughout the year to check those permits and to check the drivers and doing background checks on them, running them, and seeing if they're in fact still legal, that you don't have to charge them $25 a year every year when you've had a process in place that charged $25 for every 3 years. See, that's where I have a little problem with this. Yes, we do want to protect the safety of our public, but I asked the question, and I haven't gotten my answer yet, Byron, and that is whether or not this can be done in another way and we can ensure that that driver is strictly not wanted, his driver's license are okay, or her driver's license are okay, than to charge somebody $25 a year when in fact you've already set the precedence of $25 for every 3 years. But it seems to me that we shouldn't have to wait so long to do a random sampling, if you will. We should be checking all the time on these individuals. And if we see that someone is suspect, it's going to pop up. And I also asked the question whether or not that the DMV can in fact tell us when one of these drivers' license have been suspended, somehow or another it's queried to us that we know for a fact that we need to do something about this particular individual, because no, they're not going to come forward. They're going to try to work and still do and all of that kind of stuff, hoping that they don't get caught. Well, I think it's our responsibility to kind of ensure that they don't fall through a loophole. And I don't think changing from 3 year to a year is going to guarantee that.
Responsibility is a key word that you just stated, and we think they have a responsibility to stay current. It's part of the privilege of being able to work in the profession. This was driven not by profit, it was driven simply by a desire to ensure that those residents, those visitors to our community have the assurance of knowing that those who are providing them transportation are doing so in a legal manner, that you can trust that the vehicle for hire operator has his license, there could be other, as part of this process, we also check beyond just whether or not someone's driver's license is suspended, but also if there have been other issues of a criminal nature that may not show up on the DMV component as well. So going to an annual renewal was about consumer safety, about giving people the comfort of knowing that we have one more provision in place, and it is about the responsibility of those drivers. 40% rate through that check of saying 40% of those who were checked randomly had suspended licenses. To me, that shows we have an obligation, we have a responsibility to bring forward in order to close the gap. That's the gap that we need to close, and that's what we're doing in this regard. And I apologize, Commissioner, you also had asked about the DMV portion, and between the time we talked and getting back to you at 2 o'clock, I missed it when I came down. We did check on that as well. That is not a service. A service, when we look at the database of DMV of licenses, there's no distinct category that say, okay, these are those who are vehicle for hire. That's a database that would be statewide of everyone who has a license, and the ability for them to tag or ping license and send just the City of Orlando some type of update on those folks who are happen to be under vehicle for hire as well is really not a service that can be provided as well. And I think we did have during the lunch break, did make place a call to DMV. So that's why that alternative, among a few other reasons, but one reason that particular alternative, I understand that we were open to that. If there was another way to achieve the same objective, absolutely, we were open to it. But that is not an alternative that is viable given the database and then our small subset that's not identified in such a manner that they could easily send us notice.
Well, I don't think that we've really explored this enough because I think we're kind of jumping a little bit with this, and I think we do need to do some more research with this. And you're absolutely right. Responsibility is the key. What prompted us to do the sampling to come up with this particular issue? Was it because of what we're bringing before council now, that we've got to justify it, or had we been doing this all along? And
we had some anecdotal of some complaints, concerns, as I mentioned to you. We get every complaint that comes in. It is sent to the vehicle hire coordinator, and through the course of this, we wanted to address it. I think it showed actually good proactive action on behalf of our OPD folks, beyond just working purely off of anecdotal, to actually do a check. And that was what provided substantial documentation, again, not single out any particular area at all, but really a random check. And those were the results. But again, it also was based upon some complaints that the City of Orlando has received that were sent over to the OPD's office, and they've checked them. A few of those, it came back in addition to the complaint about some other conditions, which actually was a complaint about other conditions. Normally it may be about cleanness of the vehicle, or maybe about whether or not some information was posted. Some of those complaints happen to turn up that the person had a suspended driver's license as well.
Well, my other concern is, what about the good drivers then? Those that you had no problems with. Do they suffer also because of your bad apples? Or your bad drivers? Or your bad taxi guys that's trying to get by, that's trying to break the law? And that's why, it's difficult for me really to support this. I just can't on its face, because I think we haven't done enough. And then for us to go, now it's going to cost them $75 within a 3-year period of time, wherein it's been $25. They're trying to make a living. And it's the good drivers out there that I think we have to show some responsibility for, too. We need to get rid of the bad ones, yes. We need to hammer them, yes. We need to bring them to justice, yes. But I don't think that we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. in this particular case, and I think that's where we're kind of headed with this.
One thing that may have been lost that Chief Pigman said in response to Commissioner Ortiz is that the cost of administration for each of the permits is $26, so this is not a moneymaker for us. It's purely an issue of public safety. Commissioner Stewart?
No. Yeah, let me, a couple quick.
I'm sorry. Mayor, I was first in line. I just had something to say real quick about you, and I apologize to break in.
Okay, I was trying to let the folks that had not had an opportunity to speak.
You go ahead.
Well, no, the problem is, and this is the reason why I want to speak first on this. First of all, this is not an attack to OPD by any way, shape, or form. Commissioner Ings and I, we were both police officers, and we have the utmost admiration. It's not an attack to OPD, but let's talk about liability. Liability doesn't go to, I mean, if somebody's going to sue a taxi driver, it's not going to go to the police department after the taxi driver. It's going to go to the company. So why isn't the company the one doing this? Why isn't the company taking care of this, and why is the police department having to handle this? So we're shifting the responsibility, and that is my concern about this. I believe we can work something out where everybody can win on this, where the taxi company, the taxi drivers, and the police department, and we can still do our job. My concern is, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I know taxi drivers out there, and yeah, there's bad apples like in any profession. But most of the taxi drivers are trying to make a living, and on this day and age, it's really hard to make a living, and we all know this. Those guys are struggling out there. So that's my concern about this, and once again, I apologize for jumping in.
Commissioner Stewart?
I understand your concern, Commissioner. I just don't agree with you. How many drivers, let me ask you, Chief, how many drivers is this affecting?
Approximately 2,500.
Okay, all right. And it costs us about $26 each event to run it, and we're going to charge $25 to accomplish that task.
Yes, sir. That's
okay.
correct.
Well, a couple of things come to mind. The first is if we use Governor Scott as a guide, we charge them all $25, and the ones who are good guys, we give them back the $25. Now, doing that I just said cost us several $1,000s to accomplish that task. But that would be one way to accomplish the task. Another is the question of liability. Let me look at liability from a different perspective. We license the taxi cab owners or the companies we franchise them in the city of Orlando.
Yes, sir.
One option is to not go through this, and if we find somebody who is driving with a suspended license, we actually just we give a warning to the company, and we just pull the company's franchise.
Well, we do have a mechanism, sir, in place where we address folks that have violated Chapter 55, and once a month we have a meeting at Orlando Police Headquarters. Those who have violated are called before the Vehicle for Hire Administrator, that is me. We hold the hearing, and we have civil penalties set within Chapter 55. And those are administered at those hearings. It could be that their driver's permit is suspended indefinitely, and many times that is the case.
But now when you say those folks, you're talking about the franchisees themselves to come in directly?
Mostly it's the drivers
Okay.
who have violated for whatever reason. Their license was suspended. They failed to update the Vehicle for Hire unit on what company they are actually working for. We found that many of them, well, there's 40% out of the last 20 that we audited, that's 8 out of 20 that were out of order for one reason or another, whether their license was suspended or they failed to update us that they are working for another company, or they're not working for a company at all. They've struck out on their own, and they're basically running their own business. And so for the safety of the public, we feel that it's necessary for the driver's permit to be renewed annually instead of every 3 years, because that will condense that period, and therefore we'll see a lot less violations, and a lot less will fall through the cracks, because a 3-year period is a long time in one's life. Anything can happen, from a DUI to you name it, and those things in a 3-year period will fall through the cracks. Yes, we do the audits, but it still costs us the same money to do those audits as it does, to renew the actual permit. So the time is there, is spent, and it's about $26 for each and every one that we do.
Well, here's my thought. I mean, first of all, if we do everybody in the next year, you do it for 3 years, so you can everybody will be done in the next year.
Actually, it'll be phased in because maybe a driver registered last week.
Right, but so within the last year, anybody who's not been checked within the last year will be checked in some kind of schedule. But anyway, my point is that you'll be comfortable within a few months, basically having some type of response back about what the real number in terms of abuse is. Right now, we're using 8 out of 20. Right. It may not be 8 out of 20. It may be 20%. It may be 15%. Not that I don't disagree that we shouldn't do it for 15% for public safety, but I mean, we'll have some data from that standpoint.
That's correct.
It seems to me that if we can approve this, and then if you come back with a better plan within a year, we really aren't jeopardizing anybody. Everybody's going to be checked within the next year, and everybody's going to pay $20 within the next year.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So within a year from now, we will have checked everybody. We'll have been able to look at every location. And in 6 or 7 months, come back with a plan that is better, that's more effective. Seems to me that that's possible to accomplish that task. And maybe there may be other tools available at that time to do that. I'm in favor of it because I just am concerned about the liability question. We're in a weird situation where we have a liability to the company, or the company has a liability, and the driver has a liability. So one way is to transfer all the liability to the company. If they've got a suspended driver, you just pull their franchise. We just put that into the agreement, just pull their franchise and say you're violating the rules, and until these guys are corrected, you can't come back in, and make them go and check all of their drivers that are under their franchise and present to us that it's valid. That changes that burden just slightly, but that's one option to take care of it. I'm in favor of approving what we're doing, but ask that y'all come back in 6 months or so to tell us what you're finding out.
Yes.
And to see if there's a better plan that can go on beyond the first year. If there's not, then we've got 3 years worth of history that we can use, and then we can see where we're going to go from there. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Lineham, and then we have some testimony.
Okay. I think I may be pulling low-hanging fruit here, so I'll try and be brief. I think the word franchise and permit are two different things, and there is a protocol for each. And we're talking about pulling permits and not franchises. Mears owns hundreds of permits,
Sure.
So we wouldn't pull Mears' franchise, but we could pull the permit of the violator that works there.
That's correct.
Who uses their vehicle. So I think you just said what I've written down. No matter when you get a complaint in the inquiry, it's going to cost $26.
Well, the complaints are over and above.
The complaints, right, because you're going to do even more. But every time there is some kind of inquiry, there is a corresponding action. Somebody at OPD and staff or personnel is going to have to start looking up, writing up reports and doing things. So, and it's going to cost. I think $25 each year, every 12 months, is reasonable. I'm not a fee-driven person. I hate fees for everything, just about, except user-type fees. And this one is so close to the heart of the safety of our visitors and to us who live here. But think of the thousands of visitors to our community, and we got to do the best we can. And I think when you know something and you do nothing about it is negligence. And if you know we've got all of these situations occurring, there is no way we should not put something in action. I think in another year, because I know those permit dates are various, so it gives us something without having a rush of 2,500 people at one time to get all of those permits done. I believe this is something that we're doing. I embrace it just for the liability's sake, and the liability of inquiring about their own criminal records is on them, the way the lawyer has just said, Meehan has just indicated. So, Mr. Mayor, I think if there is a problem, we're going to have a long time to look into this. But it can't be a problem with the permit. We've been doing this for years and years and years and years and years and years. Right. So it makes sense to do it every year rather than every 3 years on this.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, we do have one appearance request, Mr. Cortez. Looks like you're signed up for both the towing and for this? Okay.
Good evening, members, Ms. Mayor. Bob Cortez, 245 Orange Avenue, Longwood. I actually take my many hats off today as public servant from the city of Longwood, as a business owner. I own actually a towing company, and I own a transportation company, which I started last year. And part of the issues of the transportation that we did is, in addition to having to get the franchise from the city of Orlando, which costs about $800 for one vehicle, we also have to pay the Greater Orlando Airport Authority for their portion, plus the fees charged through the airport, and then the Sanford Airport and Port Canaveral. So everybody else out there is got to take their piece, and it's all in public safety, matter of public safety, and for their services. Now, in addition, I personally have a driver for hire permit myself, so I drive the car. So I went through the whole process this year. I paid the $25, and like Commissioner Ortiz said, in addition to the $25, I have to pay $27 for FDLE background check through the state of Florida. That tells the vehicle for hire that I have no criminal record and that my record is clean. They, in turn, go and run my driver's license and check. They also require our insurance provider to provide, the insurance $1 million coverage. So as a business owner and as a driver, we have to present this documentation to the office before we're even considered to give the driver for hire permit. Commissioner Ings did mention the fact that there are possibly some that are violating it and are trouble. Every industry has that. But the ones that are going above and beyond to make sure that we do our best to have the best service, to have good cars, to have good drivers, we're being actually charged triple with this change. I don't disagree with the Deputy Chief that possibly every year checking might be the right thing, but the issue is triple the amount for you. You're saying $25, but if you have 10 drivers or 20 drivers or 100 drivers, it can add up because it's just the 25 plus the additional 27 for the background check. Plus, every year we're still required to submit to the Vehicle for Hire Office our renewal for that little tag that we put in the window for the car. So as a business owner, you sometimes have to realize that there are issues that we have to do to make sure that the public is protected, and we do. Several things that we do is our insurance carrier will not renew us if our drivers are suspended or have tickets or crashes or anything. And every year that we renew our insurance, if they run the driver for us, and if that driver is bad, I don't want him. He's out, and our insurance will not even, so internally we already are required to do some things. I think there needs to be some work done to this. What the solution is, I don't know, but I think the triple the amount is where we have the most issues with. So I thank you for your time and your consideration on this.
Okay, thank you. So that was all the appearance request cards that we have. So further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Oppose.
Okay, so 5-2, Madam Clerk. Motion carries. All right, this next one, I think we have a few more appearance cards. So we introduce the towing ordinance.
This is an ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to vehicle towing and immobilization regulation, making findings of fact, expressing legislative intent, establishing towing enforcement administrator authority, renumbering, reorganizing, and amending definitions, declaring civil and criminal penalties, classifying civil penalties, amending conditions precedent to trespass, tow, or immobilization, establishing administrative fees and responsibilities, amending regulations, administrative process, investigative, and enforcement duties, amending signage and notice requirements, modifying rate schedule, delegating appeal authority to Vehicle for Hire Appeal Board, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All right. Chief, let's go.
Thank you, sir. This proposed towing fees is a little more involved than the last, but the first one we're proposing is a teletype entry fee of $10. What this does is it offsets costs for manual entry and tracking of towed vehicles. We're already doing the work here. allows staff to direct inquiring citizens to the tow truck company that actually towed the vehicles. A lot of times, most of the time when people come out and can't find their vehicle, they think it may be stolen. We're the first phone call that happens for them.
Chief, could you actually explain the process? So somebody picks up a car, what do they have to do?
Anytime there's a non-consensual tow, in other words, for instance, if somebody parks in a parking lot where it's posted, no parking, tow-away zone, and that is enforced by a contracted tow company that sees the situation at hand and knows that vehicle is not authorized to park there, will come in and tow that vehicle. They have 30 minutes to notify the Orlando Police Department of that tow and all the incidentals concerning the vehicle that was towed, including the tag and so forth. And again, when the person who has had their car towed comes out, a lot of times they haven't seen the sign for whatever reason. Maybe the sign wasn't legible, and they call us, of course, thinking that their car was possibly stolen. And then, of course, we have that documented from the information that was passed on to us by the tow companies. We take the information given to us by the person who had their car towed and match that up with the information that was given by the tow company. And, of course, we tell those folks where they can find their vehicle.
So that's
essentially the process.
The entry that
yes,
we're
sir.
discussing.
That's correct. So it basically eliminates confusion from staff to citizens regarding whether the vehicle was stolen or actually towed, trespass towed. And as written currently in the proposal, it is a fee that can be assessed to the vehicle owner. That's $10. The next fee we're proposing is a $100.
Let's clarify that last statement
yes,
as
sir.
well. It's not assessed directly, could not be assessed directly by the city. The city would assess that fee on the tow company, but the tow company could pass that along to the vehicle owner.
That's correct.
Okay.
Moving on to the contract for trespass towing. It's a $100 annual fee per contract that we're proposing. What this does is it creates a formal record authorizing the trespass towing company by the property owner. We have that record. Allows staff to maintain accurate and current records regarding the regulatory compliance of trespass tow companies. It also allows staff to accurately address and investigate citizen concerns and complaints about violations of the trespass tow regulations. And it also provides for periodic inspection of tow-away zones by trained community service officers to ensure that the signage is properly posted, legible, and unobstructed. And with that, we have seen a few signs out there lately that really would not meet the standards that we propose. These are a couple examples here, and of course, if you're relying on either of these signs as notification to the public that this is a tow-away zone, well, you can see the problems there. We also encountered a few other signs. This one's hard to detect here, but for instance, you may see a tree on the left side of the screen here. There is a tow-away zone sign nailed to the tree, but as you can see, it's far from the distance of where you would actually pull into the parking lot. Most people would miss that sign. You can see the problems here. We've had a lot of rain, and the greenery is very lush and grows very, very quickly, and a lot of times we'll cover up these signs to where you can't read them. You might just drive right by it and not notice. Again, same situation. Lastly, these faded signs are really a blight on the city of Orlando, and they do not do what they're supposed to do, is notify those that it's a tow-away zone adequately. And so all of these signs under the ordinance amendments would be out of order. They're currently out of order. But the inspection of these lots would allow us to notify the company that they would have 48 hours to correct these signs. And during that time, they would not be allowed to tow with these signs in place. And it's not just protection of consumers. We do field the complaints, and we do investigate the complaints, and we actually go out there and take photographs, do a report, and so forth. In this particular instance, about 2 weeks ago or so, we had a complaint about a towaway zone where an individual parked in this lot and swore to our personnel that there were no signs posted and that we should go and investigate, and we did. And certainly this tow company has their signs properly posted, and so it's for the protection of the industry as well. We're also proposing a fee increase for the tow companies, noting that the last increase for the towing industry was 2005, and costs, as you know, have gone up for gasoline, overhead, you name it, costs are up. But currently, for Class A tow, which is probably the most prevalent of the tows, Class A tow is currently rated at $100 per tow. We're proposing that a Class A tow be increased to $125. For Class B tows, currently they're $200. We're proposing a $250 tow, $50 increase. For Class C tows, currently it's $300. We're proposing that it be increased to $375. And then way down at the bottom, the Class D tow, that's all the big rigs and so forth, that's currently at $400. We're proposing an increase to $500. And this increase would, as you can see, bring the towing industry within the city of Orlando basically up to where Orange County is, Osceola County, but not as high as Brevard County and over Seminole County. Lastly, we're proposing an untimely, improper, or incomplete contract renewal fee of $75. Essentially, it's a late fee. We hope that we don't have too many of these. But what it would do is ensure that the current contract on file with the police department assists in identifying expired contracts and ensures compliance with the ordinance regulations. Acts as incentive for trespass towing service companies to keep current and accurate records, and help staff to accurately answer citizen complaints as to which authorized tow company actually towed their vehicle. Essentially, the bottom line is that these proposed towing ordinance amendments help offset our administrative costs, provide better accountability for our citizens, for the towing industry as well, and for the Orlando Police Department. And lastly, it provides better service and consumer protection for our citizens.
Okay, I have a number of people who would like to testify, so why don't we right now limit commission input to questions for the chief, and then we'll have discussion after the testimony. Are there questions? Anybody have a question, clarification? Commissioner Stewart. Commissioner Ortiz.
Chief, I want to go back to the teletype entries for the towed vehicles.
Yes, sir.
The question is that we are doing that today.
We are.
And the $10 fee is to help us offset that cost of accomplishing that task.
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me how, I guess I'm just trying to understand, but tell me how $10 per vehicle, the other ones I completely agree with, but in this area I'm a little bit puzzled by. So tell me how this provides better service to the tow truck company owners. Does it provide any better service to them? Are we going to be prepared to have more staff available? Are we going to be able to respond more faster? I mean, what are some things that...
We currently provide the staff that records this data and fields the phone calls on both ends, whether it be from the towing company or from the person who had their vehicle towed. So we're already doing this. And the cost to do this per transaction, if you will, is $11.37.
Okay. How many vehicles would we tow, typically are towed in a year? What would it generate? I guess what I'm asking is that we're getting revenue streams from a couple of different places. Mm-hmm. And so, in a sense, if they're paying us a registration fee and they're paying us something, does that kind of cover this cost? Or are we going to be able to add an additional person to give better service to consumers?
I don't know that we actually need more personnel for this service, but we have been for years providing the service to for-profit companies. And so I don't think that staffing is an issue, but it is taking $11.37 of our time for each one of these.
Okay, so but that goes back to my point. If they're paying a fee administrative fee, and I think there are other fees that you've got here, which I think probably makes sense. The inspection fee, and every lot's going to have to do that. There's a revenue stream that gets generated with that.
Yes, sir.
If the $10 is just to offset the cost, how much money do we expect to make in the others to have additional funds, and can we provide better service? In other words, is there any way to I don't know if anything better we can to provide any better service.
None of these fees are for revenue. These are all to recover our costs, administrative costs. So none of them are revenue fees.
Okay, so currently, I'm asking a different way. Currently, we are covering outside of those costs out of general revenue, because what we're currently charging isn't covering the costs that we're bearing. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm not sure I understand the question.
It's how much does it cost us to do all the monitoring? I mean, that's I guess the question is how much does it cost us to do all the monitoring of all the work that we do, and how much revenue is being generated by the fees that we're charging. If they aren't the same, it seems that the towing industry ought to kind of pay and cover that cost. That would make sense to me.
Right.
So
I don't have that information.
Yeah. Byron?
Yes, sir. Let me step back a second. I know in some of the briefings, I didn't make all of them, some of the briefings that actually started with laying the predicate about user fees. And that was the basis of the discussion. And we started talking, and part of my part of the briefing was talking about when is it appropriate to have user fees and what should user fees cover. When we have a very distinct group that is getting services, is it appropriate to have that group, those who benefit or those who are receiving that direct service, cover the cost, or is it appropriate for all the taxpayers to cover that cost? This is one of those areas that we saw a very distinct group who received benefit or received service, and the theory was then let's identify that cost and have it borne by that distinct group who is receiving that service or the benefit, more so the service. And so that was the premise behind identifying this cost that, you're right, we are already currently providing it, but it's being provided, it's being covered by all the taxpayers of the city of Orlando are subsidizing that cost that a distinct service, distinct industry is receiving the benefit for. So that was part of that premise, that was that cost. Now, the other service, if I'm not mistaken, the administrative filing fee is actually a different group. It's not the same folks, the teletype, the folks who work in the teletype are not the same ones who are necessarily doing the work on the administrative filing fee, going out doing the inspections of the lot, so it's actually a different group. And so that's why we didn't look at it. I guess the other side of that is, could you establish the fee for the administrative, either bump it up a little bit so it's just one fee and it covers all the functions associated with it? I guess that could be another way to address it, to do an omnibus package and essentially say, this is the industry, here's your services, and cover it all in one, as opposed to a teletype fee, administrative filing fee, the late fee. I guess it's another option, alternative to that.
I guess the macro question is, what is the total cost for us to monitor, maintain, whatever it is in terms of all the issues related, and what's the general revenue that we expect to generate to offset that cost? I agree with you. As a user fee, if a guy wants to tow people off his property and he's going to hire a guy to do it, then the tow company is going to bear that cost. I agree with that philosophically. But the question is that when do we get to a point, does this cover that cost? Do we have an idea what that cost would be in terms of a macro cost?
Sure. We can have between first and second read, we have all the services, we have the budget, we have the cost. We can do it in aggregate. We've not done in aggregate. We've looked at each one of these services, but there are other costs that are associated with this industry that we are not fully recovering. And so with exercise, we actually can go ahead and capture all those expenses that are associated with it and come back. I can tell you that the fees that we're proposed today don't cover 100% of all the costs that are associated with the services that are being provided. But we can have that information and get that and share that.
I'm more interested in that. Now, the other question is the administrative fee that we talked about. That's one charge, $50 for every tow that gets picked up. I'm trying. If I were to look at this, I would say that for every tow, there's a $50 charge administrative fee, and there's a $100 for the tow for a car. Is that how is the administrative fee when you're looking? I'm looking at slide number 7.
Yes, sir. The administrative fee has to do with a myriad of things, including proper signage that we will go out and inspect at least once annually. We would like to do it at least twice annually, but at least once annually, going out and keeping those contracts on file so that we are accurate. When we do get the complaints, we know exactly who to go to in terms of the towing company. What happens in the industry, and I just learned this myself, is that they move around a lot in terms of Joe's towing company might have the contract for a month, then Mo's towing company has it the next month, and then by the time a year goes by, who knows contract has it. So it's that's the nature of it, and we don't get any of the updates. So we're at a loss when we do get the complaints, who to contact many times.
I'm a little bit confused, Chief. So on page 3, you say the administrative filing fee is $100 per annual contract.
That's correct.
On page 7, you say the proposed City of Orlando administrative fee is $50. Am I missing something between the two?
Page 7?
Page 7, City of Orlando proposed, bottom says administrative.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's an administrative separate too.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
That's per tow.
That's what they're allowed to charge
to
the customer, an administrative fee.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
It doesn't have anything to do with it.
We authorize them to charge $50 for their administration.
That's correct.
And then the $100 for the cost of the tow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what okay. So a car towed is $150. Could be $150.
Well, it has to meet certain criteria for that administrative cost.
But it could be $150. It could be 50 for administration and 100 for the tow itself.
And it could incur some storage fees as well.
Right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
I think to follow up on your question, Commissioner Stewart, we don't receive a per tow fee at this point, correct?
No, we don't.
It's all one administrative fee on a per contract basis.
That's correct.
Commissioner Lynham and then Commissioner Ortiz.
Okay, just a couple of questions. Well, one recommendation, I really would like for us to include not allowing the companies to nail signs on trees. I mean, we plant them for a reason, and some of them may use a nail for iron, but that is inappropriate, and we're already dealing with nuisance signs. The other is, I know I get many complaints, and I send them over to OPD, and I don't like increases in fees, and I'm not a tow person. I wish we had no need of them. And you showed a 7-Eleven. I wonder, is that our 7-Eleven over there?
Yep,
Thornton Park, that used to trick people all the time.
$75,000 a year they bring in on that lot.
But I support the increase in fees because what you were seeing, in my opinion, if you can answer, what we used to do for free, we can't do it anymore. So there is some nominal fee to help pay for the cost of the service that has been provided, because this is a for-profit company. They're making money, and we're working for them for free.
That's correct.
So that's why 7 years later we're going up some nominal fee. Well, as long as we keep the signage right, I think they treat people downtown terribly. And that was an illustration just now of those signs. And when they tow cars with signage like that, I think we ought to make them give the money back. So I don't know where that goes in this fee piece here or ordinance or something, but I think we ought to be more strict on the towing companies when they do this kind of garbage and tricking folks and whatever, you know what I'm saying. When they're clearly in the wrong, we ought to deal with them too. And so we may need some other pieces to go along with this to support our increase in these fees, allowing them to have their fees increase and to give us back some of the user fees that it takes us to process all of this. But I'm very upset about the way they treat our patrons downtown with these horrible signs, or no signs practically. And I think it's deliberate for them to get this money. So when we see that, Chief, can by now and next week or next hearing, to see is that in any place in the city that if we learn that there's been some dreadful mistake or misuse of justice here, that they're going to be responsible, that the citizens coming downtown in good faith shouldn't be penalized because, like if it was me, I can't see good at night. Well, I shouldn't say that with people who's running around driving can't see good, but I do wear my glasses when I'm out. And people will not see things that are faded, will not see it when the vegetation is too high, will not see it on a tree. Who expects a sign to be on a tree, an official sign to be on a tree? So maybe I'd like for us to step up the oversight of it.
Yes. I will say that this, and it wasn't in my presentation, but these amendments do provide for a towing enforcement administrator, much like the vehicle for hire administrator, and we will have monthly, if there's a violation, it will be called for the towing enforcement administrator, and there are civil penalties, much like the vehicle for hire.
Right.
And I also would like to say that I think that will foster a better relationship between the Orlando Police Department and the towing companies, a more professional, more positive relationship at arm's length, but that relationship will be better and the whole industry will improve because of it, and the consumers will benefit.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I swear I'll be nice. I like this so much. I've been saying it for a long time. We need to have our own towing company. I hope this happens one of these days. Anyhow, I just have a couple of questions, and I just want to clarify some things. We're going to be charging $125. Oh, actually, the towing companies will be charging $125. We have a small fee, about $15, which is for the 15-something for the teletype process.
$10.
Right. Now, what happens, and maybe I missed this, when the vehicle is one of those vehicles where the person indicates, take my vehicle, let's say in an accident, how much are they going to be charging? Because now we don't have a teletype fee.
Right.
So are they going to be charging $110, or are they still going to be charging $100?
It would be $125. No. It does not apply to consensual tows, if you will. If you're in an accident or you have a broken down vehicle in your driveway and you want it towed to your mechanic or what have you, those fees would not apply.
So that's going to. So then they will only be allowed to charge $100.
Right. It'll be, if you approve it, it'll be $125. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's the market rate set by the tow companies.
I'm sorry?
It would be the market rate set by the tow companies.
I think they're saying we don't regulate.
We do not regulate.
Okay.
That's between the owner of the car and our scheme is where a third party calls for an owner's car to be towed. So in an accident or breakdown, that's between the owner and the tow company or AAA or whoever they use.
Right. Gotcha.
I suspect the insurance companies have a rate that they're willing to pay.
Okay. Then comes the next question. Those $100 annual fee per contract, those will be charged to the towing company?
That will be charged to the towing company, yes.
Not to the location, the place who owns the location or whatnot?
It's really not specified in the ordinance
And
who is responsible, but it is up to the towing company to make sure that we have that fee.
Is it stipulated that the towing company can then get either half or whatever it is remuneration from I don't know, from the owner of the location or whatnot? Is any of those particulars any?
I think we're getting into a legal area that I may not be qualified to answer.
You're very
regarding
kind.
Florida Statute 715.
I just want to make sure that we can have some idea of how this is going to be working in reference to, because we don't want problems with the locations. Then we're going to have those towing signs there, and somebody's going to come complaining. That's Murphy's Law. Somebody's going to come complaining. Why am I paying for this? Why for the towing companies or whatnot? So.
Sure. Why don't we let our police legal advisor, Ms. Freeman, address that?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Downs. Commissioner Ortiz, okay, so if I make sure I understand your question, the administrative fee is paid per location by the towing company. The signage on the site is also the responsibility of the towing company. So it's our intention to push the costs to the entity that's making the profit, and not to the business owners downtown who are contracting. They don't get any money back. They don't make any money on that. They're just trying to keep their parking lots clear.
Well, it should be a fee for that, isn't it? Well, that's not for me to say anyhow. But all right, I just want to have that clear. Thank you.
Okay, we do have some appearance requests. So If you'll come to the mic when I call your name, give your name and address, you'll have 5 minutes to address the council. Paul Green. That may be close, it may not be Green. Gren, okay.
First off. Well, it's still afternoon. Good afternoon, members of the City Council and Mayor Dyer. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes to speak today on the proposed revisions to Chapter 39. My name is Paul Gren. I'm the owner and an operator of a tow truck company. We are a specific trespass towing group located in the city of Orlando. To date, I feel it's safe to say that my business relationship with the powers that be here in the city have been spirited for both sides. I would offer that in my past, the differences that I've had with the ordinances, it was never my intent to embarrass the city government by operating above your laws. Moreover, to draw attention to the need for change to an all too often overlooked chapter of the city code. So today I'm here to applaud the city and the city staff on their efforts and the council members for their willingness to entertain this first ever proactive and comprehensive redirection of Chapter 39. By no means calling into question the extensive work undertaken by Chief Pigman and his staff to bring this draft forward, there remains a need for some additional dialogue to fine-tune a few areas that the legislative intent is met within the operational challenges we face. It's imperative that these two areas run in concert, as this has always been a weak link. Ultimately, you want a compliant towing company encouraged at the future you are creating while protecting the interests of the public and preserving the rights of the property owners. I would encourage, in closing of this order of business today, that you would vote in favor of the towing industry, by means of a representative chosen by us to meet with the city staff to discuss in greater detail adjustments that will address all our needs prior to the second reading that both sides can support. Thank each one of you for your time today and for your consideration.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, but we will certainly, Chief, arrange an additional meeting between a representative of the tow company and the chief and whoever, legal advisor, whoever else ought to be there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Chief, just to clarify, you had a number of meetings already as well, right?
On August 29th, we did have a meeting here in council with the industry. Yes,
okay.
sir.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to concede that my eyes are now 54 years old, and somebody has some really neat handwriting, but it is very small. So it is Angela and John, I believe it's Darrington. Is that right? You both have a card in, so you can go in whichever order you would like to go. Is that your handwriting, Angela?
No, it's
All right.
his. It's Angela Warrington.
Warrington, okay.
I'm the owner of Zips Towing and Recovery. I attended the meeting on August 29th, 2012, here in the city chambers with Deputy Chief Pigman, the city's attorney, Leanne Freeman, code enforcement staff. We had vehicles for hire staff, and there was an employee from the communications department. Deputy Chief Pigman sent letters out to the towing companies requesting them to send one representative from each company attend the public hearing regarding the changes to the Orlando City Code affecting the towing and immobilization service regulation. Just so we had an accurate account of the meeting, we had our attorney from the Florida Towing Association attend the meeting, and we also had a court reporter to that way they could document all of the minutes of the meeting. During the public meeting, I asked Mr. Feldshaw, who is in the Vehicles for Hire, he's the one who's been overseeing the towing companies in the past year and a half. I asked him how many complaints have been made in the past year and a half, and he told me that 44 complaints have been made. Only 2 of them were justified as being found guilty, and they were both given civil penalties. This new ordinance seems to be a little drastic for only 2 being found in the past year and a half. I think that as a towing community that we have drastically improved and cleaned up our actions. However, when Mr. Pigman, Deputy Chief Pigman, showed us signs in his, I'm sorry, I'm nervous, in his presentation, I forget words, I'm sorry. In his presentation that were faded, we asked him, and they weren't in compliance to city code, we asked him if he could tell us if any cars have been towed from those properties, and he couldn't tell us that at the time. Or if any cars, and then, 4 years ago, we were made to add the word strictly enforced to all of our towing signs at our cost. Just by the numbers a member of the Orlando Police Department gave us, strictly enforced did not deter parking because the number of cars towed has increased. Now in this new ordinance, they want us to add more words to our signs at a cost, again, to the towing companies. Towing and booting of vehicles is regulated by state law and city ordinance. Any person wishing to file a complaint regarding a violation of towing or immobilization can find the non-emergency number to the City of Orlando. I believe that in this day and time, everybody carries a cell phone, and it's very easy to go on. And I think that common sense needs to prevail here. People are not going to read a billboard before they park. They're just not going to. The citizens of Orlando want something straight to the point. These new signs are going to be an eyesore to the property owners. The City of Orlando is known for giving big companies tax breaks to lure them to Orlando. I ask you, what about the small business owner that has lived here their whole life? Now you are going to impose so many new taxes on my business that I cannot survive here. Obviously, towing complaints have diminished a great bit from years ago when we were here in 2008. Prior to the meeting on August 29th, we tried to get a copy from the city of the new ordinance so we could have adequate time to review the new proposed changes. We finally were able to download it off the internet the day before the meeting. In the meeting, we asked for the cost analysis for those proposed changes and were told that they were in the preliminary stages. Preliminary stages? How can the city justify these new changes to the ordinance without a cost analysis done? How can they hold a public meeting without having all of the facts other than they thought that we were not intelligent enough to ask these questions? We were told at that time by Deputy Chief Pigman and Leanne Freeman we would receive the cost analysis no later than September 7th, 2012. To this day, we have not received this information that was promised to us and our attorney. Any cost analysis study done by the City of Orlando is public record. We were lied to during this meeting about this date. The legal department is trying to push this ordinance in without giving us, the public, the proper information, and I request that this ordinance be tabled until a cost analysis is done and both sides have adequate time to analyze them. How can an ordinance be drafted and voted on without all of the facts?
Just so I'm clear, a cost analysis on what?
We want a cost analysis to show what, where he just came up with a figure. This is the first we've heard. I think you said $11.33? 37 cents. We want to see those figures because when we...
A cost analysis on how much money per tow?
It costs. Because they're, number one, they're trying to charge us for something that is mandated by the state. We have to call in a tow. That is that's a state law.
Just the cost of the teletype issue. Is that what you're asking about?
We want them to justify the cost for the $100 per contract. For every towing sign that we put up, they want us to pay $100 for every address. When you add it up, it's a lot of money, and we just want them to justify that cost.
Okay, and you're okay with the increase by $25 in the towing fee, right?
Well, we haven't had that in over 10 years. In 2005, they did not raise the $100 for the towing fee. 5 years ago, Orange County raised theirs to $125. So, yeah, we're okay with it. If you look at anywhere else, Orlando by far is the lowest amount.
Okay, thank you. John, did you want to speak as well?
On August the 29th, 2012, towing companies, property owners...
John, I need you, even though your wife has already spoken, give your name and your address as well.
Sir?
Your name and address?
John Warrington, 514 West Columbia Street, Towmaster Record Service. On August 29, 2012, towing companies, property owners, and concerned citizens were invited to a public hearing with the city on the proposed ordinance changes. Even though a large number of people turned out and voiced concern, it fell on deaf ears. City employees mocked us and made comments such as, "I don't hear anyone complaining about the $25 rate increase, and we didn't have to call this meeting." Our association attorney was told that the city would provide us with a copy of the cost analysis by September 7, 2012, which never occurred, not allowing us time to review the facts. This is a violation of Florida Sunshine Act. It's apparent that the city also had, from the early 2010, a chance to conduct a survey, but when questioned, it turns out as of August 29th, only a preliminary survey had been done. What kind of administration takes such a drastic steps without knowing the full facts? The proposed changes reek of corruption. It increases the fees to consumers 40% and then brings unjustified, illegally gained revenue to the city coffers, such as approximately $400,000 in users' fees and approximately $425,000 in contract fees, which are contrary to state statutes and contrary to Section 811, Southern 2nd, 756 District Court of Appeals of Florida. In using this illegal money-making scheme, the city should change its crest, which hangs on the wall behind you, replace the center of it with a cash register, replace the word City Beautiful with the ka-ching, ka-ching. In Vehicles for Hire's own words, in 2 years they have only had 44 complaints, with only 2 found justified and settled with a fine. These 2 complaints do not justify towing companies paying nearly $1 million to operate in Orlando. Further, did this imaginary cost survey show the number of stolen cars recovered last year by towing companies, the number of hours spent waiting for the police to arrive and process these vehicles? How much money did the towing companies save the Orlando Police Department and the City of Orlando in that recovery? Probably not. If their time is worth something, ours is also, and we should build a city for our time. Vehicles for Hire turned in 12 pictures of faded towaway signs to Deputy Pigman the day after the meeting to justify their need in existence. Why didn't they tell Deputy Pigman if this is a fact that there was no towaways done on these lots, resulting in no complaints? They claim these signs are blights on the city, and I asked, have you ever looked at campaign signs on the highways before and after an election? Further on March 23, 2008, several council members testified that they knew of people that had been towed that couldn't afford the $100 tow fee and would never vote for an increase as long as they were on the council. My question is, what are you going to tell your constituents now? I asked the council to table this ordinance until further review, discussion, and investigation, saving the city legal fees and what will definitely become an ordinance challenge in court. And also, as a last reminder, our attorney today received an email from the city attorney stating that they would furnish a cost survey by the second meeting, and there's still room to negotiate. I request the city attorney review District Court of Appeal, Florida 811, Southern 2nd, 756.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Cronin.
Good afternoon, Buddy Dyer, council members. My name is Chris Cronin. My address is 813 Wingo Street, Orlando, Florida. I've been in this profession for approximately 15 years, and I have a view of both sides. I completely agree that we need to be held accountable, both as the city, both as the towing. I'm up for change. I'm up for people being regulated. But what I'm hearing right now currently is fee. And it's all justification of what we can get for a fee. So now we're going from $100, which is the maximum that can be charged to somebody in the first 24 hours that the car's towed, to $135. Some of it going to the city of Orlando. One of the things I'm confused by is a towing company got quite creative and started booting cars in the city of Orlando. And everyone went up in arms and said, I can't believe you're here booting these cars. We're going to make it so tough for these guys. We're going to regulate it down to $22.50, and you did that successfully. where no one can actually boot a car because it's not cost effective enough. And by doing so, you eliminated a little bit of power of the public when you did that. Now, instead of coming out and seeing your car parked there with a boot on it and you have access to your car, just in case maybe you had medicines in it or something that you had to take, or whatever, now, before they could complain, my car's booted, but look, the sign's faded. I didn't know that I could read the sign. Or, look, I wasn't illegally parked. Because if a boot was on it and the car didn't move, well, you know. And now they have to go to the towing company to pick up the car rather than the towing company coming to them to release it. So it's just, I get confused by all these things that are changed without taking the time or the effort out to view exactly what needs to be done. Everybody wants to point fingers, but nobody wants to do the job. All the laws that we already have on the ordinance today, if they were enforced, you could actually shut the bad towing companies down. But everybody wants to sit around pointing fingers, and nobody actually wants to ascertain the ability to do that job. And I don't understand why. Code enforcement has always had the ability to go in and shut down a towing company. All this, the towing administrator coming in, I don't think they're justified in what they're asking and the dollar amount. I think that needs to be reevaluated wholeheartedly. Originally, they wanted $15. Now they've come down to $10 per car. I think that needs to be looked at. There's so many things I want to go over. We actually tried to create a towing sign that the public could read, and we tried to place everything that was in the ordinance on the sign, and it became so involved that the person looking at the sign missed the real words. And I think the real words that should be visualized is, you're in a tow zone, it's strictly enforced, and these are the hours or days that it is enforced. I think that language should be in there. I don't think the sign should be cluttered up with everything else. You know, we have all these additional signs, and we're getting these big billboards, and I think that's getting out of control. I think that needs to be addressed. I have all kind of stuff in here. And the new ordinance, it asks us to release a car to someone basically because they made a phone call and said, that's my car. Can you release it to my son or whoever? They want a telephone verification to release a car. Right now we have in our towing impound yard a beautiful Chrysler 300. We refuse to release it. And this is a prime example. The child that was driving the car parked it illegally in someone else's space. That someone called it and had it towed. We towed it. He begged to have the car back. He was informed his name wasn't on the car. He needed to contact whoever it was. He contacted his father. His father wasn't the owner of the car. But they tried diligently for 3 days to get the car back. He even flew in from California to try and get the car back. This gentleman was fired from the Pfizer pharmaceutical company in 2005. April of 2005 is when he was fired. He took delivery of this car June of 2005, 2 months after he was fired. He's been driving this car for free without making any payments on it for so long that he actually feels entitled to some type of ownership of the car. We made numerous phone calls.
You've got about 30 seconds.
We got everybody involved, and the moral of the story is, had we released it based on his concerns, we would have been at liability for giving away a car they've been looking for 7 years for. This car's been missing for 7 years. Sorry I didn't have more time, but I think that we need to table it and reconsider and draw it up correctly rather than haphazardly. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Cortez. And then Mike Seaman will be after that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members. Bob Cortez, 245 Orange Avenue, Longwood, Florida. I'm here representing the chairman of Region 5 of the Professional Wrecker Operators of Florida. And as we were here several years ago with Commissioner Sheehan when she had her concerns about the booting, we worked together and put a stop to that and fix it very quickly. And that's what we do as a professional organization. Several things, and I applaud Chief Pigman for working on this, and several things that as of concern here, and I'll address them quickly. Section 3B, I don't know if this is a scrivener on it through you, through the Deputy Chief. It says, in addition to the violations set forth in Chapter 36 of the City Code, it is a violation of this chapter for any towing or immobilization service or agent to engage in business within the city limits without a valid city-issued business tax receipt or occupational license. Originally, we're talking about private property trespass tow, but that specific line now, like you said, if AAA came in to tow a regular car that was not trespass, they would be violating this. That's not the intent of this ordinance. Am I correct? Anyway, I'll make a note to it, and maybe we can address as it goes into the second reading. Section 5.1 speaks about the contract. And one thing that I've noticed in dealing with the Vehicle for Hire office is that, and with several towing companies, if you're going to impose every contract with every single property owner in the city, I suggest that it should be a standardized form contract, that Company A should not write a contract that Company B is going to write, that maybe the Vehicle for Hire office can come up with a standardized contract that would make it simpler for the towing company to be able to turn in the contract that is legible, easy to read, and it does meet all the requirements of the ordinance itself. By you just specifying having a contract, it's subject to possibly rejection by the Vehicle for Hire office because it's not completely complying with us. Section 6D, which is the $100 administrative fee paid by the towing company, it actually, in my opinion, violates Florida Statute 71507, Section 4, which makes it a third-degree felony for towing companies to actually, and I'll read, and you have it also in Section 11, it's actually a requirement. It says, a person may not pay or accept money or any other valuable consideration for the privilege of towing or removing vehicles or vessels from a particular location. In other words, the towing company would be paying the $100 fee for each property as a contract to be able to engage in the private property towing of this property. The problem is, by Florida statute, we are prohibited from doing so, and we are actually putting ourselves in the position where we will be violating and be subject to arrest. And your Section 11 even goes a little bit further and states that the same thing. It states that we cannot accept, it says, it is prohibited for a person to pay or accept money or other valuable consideration for the privilege of vehicle towing, removal, the same thing as the statute. So technically, the city cannot accept $100 either because we are doing this for the privilege of towing or mobilization. So something has to be able to find in that way. Again, Section 8, it says allows for the rejection, and Deputy Chief mentioned the $75 fee every time the paperwork is rejected. And again, I think that we need to come up with some sort of standardization for the contract. Section 12 makes additional wording for the sign, but if you rate all the wording that's there, how are we going to fit that wording on an 18 by 36 sign? Probably the font's going to have to be that small to be able to include every single portion that you have in the ordinance. And in my opinion, this will exponentially increase the regulation on business property owners. We haven't heard from property owners here. And this, Commissioner Lynham mentioned about the core here in downtown where most of the towaways occur, but there's other places in the city that does, apartment complexes, homeowners associations that do want to regulate. They're not really aware of this, and when this comes about where the towing company cannot really go out there and tow or they have to enter into a contract that's convoluted, it might cause any problems. So I believe there's some work to be done. I don't think most of the towing companies are going to have an issue with the increase, and I don't think they're going to have an issue with paying the $10 to the city for the enforcement. That is in state statute, and I think once they report it, I don't think there will be an issue with that. Most of that comes with the wording and the $100 fee. I thank you for your time and consideration.
I would invite you to attend the second meeting that Deputy Chief Pigman is going to set up. And then, Mayanne, I think that's a little bit of a stretch on the state statute. I'm sure I'm not sure exactly the language, but I'm sure the legislative intent was that you can't give a kickback to the landowner, not to the
Right.
city. But if you're not
Exactly.
confident in that opinion, and we need to seek an Attorney General opinion on that to make everybody comfortable, I'll let you use your discretion on that.
We'll take a look at it to be sure, but that's the interpretation that you just identified, and this is not a new or unusual scheme of regulation. So, but we'll
Okay,
take a
but
look
let's
at
just
it
double-check the line.
to be safe.
May I
Yes,
make
sir.
a quick comment,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor? Recently in Alachua County in Gainesville, there was a towing company that had towaway signs near the university, and the property owner asked him, he says, well, my father's retiring, can you throw away the trash for me before you leave? Well, he didn't think nothing of it. He's been towing out of this property for 20 years, so he was dumping the trash and picking up bottles and stuff that were left in the parking lot. Would you believe the Alachua County Sheriff's Office actually arrested him and charged him with this statute because it is considered what valuable consideration are. It's not just cash, it's the valuable consideration portion. We've actually been working, the association's been working to try to get a Attorney General opinion to tell us what valuable considerations is, but unfortunately, until we get that, the legislative intent is the way we read it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for your time.
You know, Mayor, I do like that standard contract.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Probably a good idea, although I'm not sure whether we need to be writing their contracts and then
Contracts
they
for them,
can't
though.
change them. But Mayann, I'll let you weigh in on that after you consider it as well. Okay, Mr. Seaman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Mike Seaman. I represent the Professional Wrecker Operators of Florida. I live at 125 Terrytown Trail in Longwood, and I also have a commercial property in the city of Orlando on Edgewater Drive. As I used to lobby Senator Buddy Dyer in Tallahassee, my job as representing the towing industry, and we do represent the professional wrecker operators, and I will be the first to tell you that not all wrecker operators are professional, and we do not represent the unscrupulous towers. But my job is to educate you, and the statute is perfectly clear on the money and the valuable consideration. 715.07 reads, "A person may not pay or accept money or other valuable consideration for the privilege of towing or removing of vehicles or vessels from a particular location." As Mr. Cortez stated, our association is expecting a Attorney's General opinion from Pam Bondi any day now. We had a representative in South Florida ask for that for us. Specifically back then, we were asking what is valuable consideration, and also City of Gainesville feels that giving away the tow signs is violating the statute. We disagree with that because you can't tow without signs. If in fact a property in the city of Orlando cannot have a vehicle removed from private property, but for a contract and a $100 fee annually to the city of Orlando is paid, then if a tower pays that fee, they're in fact giving the property owner $100, because the property owner is the one that is requesting have the vehicle towed, a vehicle towed. My concern is naturally for the towing industry, but also for homeowners associations, apartment complexes, and any lot or any place that may potentially have a towing issue. I've been in the towing industry some way, shape, or form, either working for my parents, owning my own company, or managing the association since 1975. And I will tell you that I had a towing service in Orlando, I had one in Altamont Springs, and I had hundreds of locations with towaway signs. Most of them were apartment complexes, shopping centers, and such as that. I did tow a lot of cars. We did junk a lot of cars every week, but it took all those properties to cumulatively give me that type of business. Today, if I had to pay $100 per property, if it was legal for me, the tower, to pay $100 per property, that would be devastating. And I do believe that it is asking a lot for homeowners associations, condominium associations, that may only have a small number of units to pay $100 per year. As I started out, my job is to educate. I was in a meeting at Daytona Beach Police Department Friday on a similar matter. Daytona has had a policy for a number of years, and they have a $25 application fee for the property owner to pay for the privilege of having tollway signs, and they charge them annually, and I'm told on their water bill, and I'm not sure how they do it on a vacant piece of property, but they charge an annual $15 fee for a sign permit. When we were almost done with the meeting, the city attorney, I asked him to read this portion of 715.07 and told him I had a question. And I said, do you feel that it would be a violation of this statute if the tower paid the fee? And he said, absolutely. He didn't qualm about it one bit. And he said, ladies and gentlemen, before you leave, let me tell you, you cannot pay this fee for the property owner. You can bring their check, you can bring the application, and you can give it to us, but you cannot pay it. He said, if you do, it would be our obligation to report you to the state's attorney because you're violating Florida statute and it's a third-degree felony. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think there's a better way to do this. I know the city needs revenue. I know they need to cover their expenses, and I totally agree that we have problem people, we have problem properties, and unsightly signs and such as that. But I think there's a better way to do it, and I think that it was brought up earlier that in fact a property management company, and I saw this personally, may change a towing service in mid-year. And that would be costly for the property. And I'll finish up by saying that I do believe that a one-time contract, a one-time fee, and charge the property owner on their tax bill or their water bill, utility bill or such, would be a better route. And if the status doesn't change, then neither the city would have to fool with a yearly contract. And all these contracts come due at different times of the week, month, and throughout the year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I would encourage you to attend the meeting Deputy Chief Pigman sets up. All right, that is all of the appearance request forms that we have. So we're back on discussion. Obviously, there's going to be additional discussion between the industry and Deputy Chief and legal between now and we don't have a meeting next week. That got canceled. So then the earliest this will be back will be on October the 1st, I believe, is our next meeting. Chief, do you have a follow-up? And Commissioner Ortiz.
I just have a question, Mayor. How are we going to handle then the not being sure about the state statute? What's the opinion from the?
I know that issue has already been raised. I could make a distinction. Daytona has apparently imposed an obligation on the landowner. We're not imposing an obligation on the landowner. Right. So in that case, the Wrecker Service is taking care of and paying an obligation to the landowner. I could distinguish our case or our circumstance based on the fact that we're imposing the obligation on the tow company, not the landowner. But we're going to look at this very carefully, and maybe if they've already got an advisory opinion they're asking for the Attorney General, we could ask them to include this specific issue if it's not being addressed.
We'll chase it down, but just so everybody knows, the statute's pretty clear on its face. It says the payment of any monies from the firm that is towing to the property owner for the privilege of the towing contract. It's very clear, I think, on its face, but we will chase it down just to be absolutely positive.
Okay. Questions before us then. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. All right. You still have some additional business to do. So that's 2 and 4. We're on number 3, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's growth management plan by changing the future land use map designation from residential medium intensity in part and office low intensity in part to office medium intensity on property generally located north of East Livingston Street, south of East Amelia Street, east of North Magnolia Avenue, and west of Ruth Lane, and comprised of 4.44 acres, more or less. Also moving the boundary of sub-area policy S14.3 to exclude the subject property, directing amendment of the city's future land use maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 5, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, vacating, closing, and abandoning portions of alleys 205 and 208 Laureate Park Phase 1A, generally located north of Laureate Boulevard, south of Tavistock Lake Boulevard, east of Lake Nona Boulevard, and west of Narcoossee Road, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone for the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Let's see, 6 was deleted, so number 7, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, establishing an initial zoning for certain land generally located north of State Road 528, the beach line, south of Lee Vista Boulevard, on the east side of Narcoossee Road, with an address of 7777 Narcoossee Road, comprised of 9.4 acres, more or less, to Planned Development District, providing conditions of the PD zoning district, directing amendment of the official zoning map, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 8, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the Planned Development Zoning District regulations for certain real property generally located north of West Oak Ridge Road, south of Interstate Highway 4, east of the Florida Turnpike, and west of Millennia Boulevard, and comprised of 69.7 acres, more or less. Amending the Planned Development District's development program, allowable uses, site plan, and conditions of development. Directing amendment of the official zoning map series, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Ings. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. That concludes the official business of the Orlando City Council for today. Thank you for tuning in or joining us here in Orlando City Council chambers.